Patricia, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you are coming up on the 9th season of The Middle, the 9th and final season,
Yes, our
right?
farewell season, yes.
What's it like going into a farewell season?
Well, we had a big text group message between all of us, saying, okay, we kind of knew this was happening, but we weren't allowed to say it officially. And so when it was actually said in the text messages, it was a little bit of a, even though we knew and we all feel it's the right time, there's still that thing that, okay, it's all gone. And not just that you won't have a job, but that this routine you've had for 9 years, 12 hours a day with people you love is
You're single camera. You guys are shooting
we are together all the time. Yeah. We know everybody's everything about each other's lives. And everybody has moved on and done things, people getting married, people doing, different things. So with crew and writers and everything. So it's you're very a tight family. So it's going to be difficult. I think the last table read we do is going to be, I don't know how I'm going to get through it. I'm sure I'll be sobbing the whole way through.
Now, forgive me, I don't remember, but when Everybody Loves Raymond came to a close, did you guys know that you were wrapping up that season?
Yes.
Like that? Yeah. And what was that like?
Same thing, although interestingly, when we shot the final episode, so that was a multi-camera, so we had an audience for the big final episode. People had flown in from New York. Everybody's families came in from the East Coast. There were parties planned. There was press. The day of the final taping of Raymond, I lost my voice, and we couldn't do the show. And they had to cancel and move it to the following week when my voice came back. And so when we actually did the final episode, there was nobody there. There was no press. All the families had to fly back home. Nobody even got to see. Everybody who came out did not get to see our.
What happened to your voice?
Every year, my kids. I was in the throes of having and raising my children then. The first season, I had a 3-year-old.
Your kids bad, and you were just yelling at them all the time?
No, I usually would get run down at some point every season on Raymond. When we started the show, I had a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and I was pregnant with a third. So, and then the third season, I had a 4th kid. So I always lost my voice every year for at least one episode, like a cold.
Wait, and you have 4 boys,
I have
right?
4 boys.
Yeah, of course. This makes perfect sense. Yes.
So yeah, I was really tired, and it just happened to land on the final episode, and I'm sure there was some stress involved with that too.
Right. And so, how did everybody handle it?
It was. Initially we were like, oh, this is terrible. And I was sobbing because I just felt like I had ruined everybody's grand exit. But actually, when we did it the next week, after we finished, the audience left, and it was just all of us on the soundstage, kind of exactly the way we had started the show. And it felt more intimate and personal and felt like the right way to do it.
And now, you've done this before, but when you get onto a show like The Middle, you have watched these kids grow up. This guy right here is 27 now, right? He was 18 when the show started.
And this one,
yeah.
I forget, you forget because you see them all day long, and he was such a tiny guy, and his voice was like this. But he's such an old soul that when I met him, I was treating him like he was some 60-year-old veteran of the business. I'm like, hey, kid, come on, and get over here, Atticus. And now when I look at how tiny and little he was, I'm like, oh, I should have treated him a little more gently. But, he's grown into an incredible actor. They all have. And Neil's a little bit grayer, I can tell you that. And I've stayed exactly the same. How does that happen? Yeah.
But when you jump onto a show like this, after having finished, 9 seasons of Everybody Loves Raymond, right? And you sort of grow with that family, you watch kids grow up, you watch everybody get a little older. Do you go into the next project at a little bit of a distance because you know that this, isn't your real family, and if it goes on for 10 years, 9 years, they are going to grow up around you.
Right.
You don't really want to have that sentimental bond.
We, for instance, on Raymond, Ray is so great that he throws a big party every year at the end of the summer for everybody to come to. So all the Raymond people come, and then some other people from his subsequent projects also come. So he's been really great about helping all of us stay in touch with each other. And so I'm thinking maybe I should be that person on the middle where, every year make sure we have a gathering of everyone to see how everybody is doing. Because we don't see each other during hiatus weeks usually, or over the summer normally, unless they're all getting together behind my back and not inviting me. I don't know, maybe they all get together. But because you're going to spend tons of time with them when you come back to work, so you don't really have to see each other. But once the show ends, and we all kind of live within, short driving distance of each other, so I think we will I'll be in touch.
So what is it like to watch kids grow up on a show that you work on, and they're not your kids, but they play your kids? There's some sort of weird thing.
Well, at the beginning, when I started working with them, I thought, I don't know how to treat them because they are my coworkers, but they're the exact same age as my children. And so it's like, should I be their mom or should I just be another professional with them? And honestly, for the first season, I did not know how to talk to them. For instance, Charlie and I were sitting there the first week, and I'm like, so Charlie, you don't smoke pot, do you? Because if you do, stop smoking pot. And then he was like, who is this? He didn't speak to me for the entire year. He was so afraid of me. I did, because I said to him the stuff I say to my kids, which is don't smoke pot. So I don't, it took a while for all of us. And I think also, because they had all watched Raymond, so they were a little bit like, intimidated? I don't know if that's the right word, but they just felt shy around me. So they used to sit in chairs together, these four, and talk, and no one would come and talk to me. And I was like, what?
If they came to talk to you, you were just like, don't smoke pot.
Yeah, maybe they had a reason that they weren't coming and talking to me.
I went to go say hi to this woman, Patricia.
She just started yelling at me.
Like, say no to drugs. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, asking me about condoms and stuff. We all kind of, got to know each other, and I adore them all. These kids are so professional. They're not Hollywood kids at all. Atticus basically lives out on a ranch, and Eden and Charlie have their own places, and they have their own lives, and they're not kind of club goers or, making a scene or anything. They're really kind of down-to-earth professionals, so it's really been great.
So what can people expect going into the final season of the show? Are there any big plans about what's going to happen with the characters?
Well, as you saw in the clip that you showed, I think it was really a great sort of, inside joke that the Hecks are trying to put together a box for Orson's 100th celebratory, founding of Orson. And it's kind of like, what kind of legacy are the Hecks going to leave? Will anyone remember us? And that's kind of like what we're talking about with the show ending, But we do have some wonderful storylines that are going to be, I think, somewhat resolved. Axel has just come back from Europe at the opening of our episode this season, and so he wants us to become all like European wine drinkers in the afternoon kind of people.
Great life.
It's a great life. Brick breaks up with his girlfriend because he feels now as a sophomore he needs to play the field a little bit more, and so is Oates. And there's been an ongoing sort of missed opportunity romantic tension between Sue and our neighbor Sean Donahue. So I think a lot of people are hoping that Sue and Sean get together. And as for Frankie and Mike, I think it's about learning to let go with the kids. I myself am an empty nester for the first time. My youngest is a freshman in college. So
what was that like? Did you bring him to school and drop him off?
Yes, because he's going to my alma mater, Ohio State, and so my husband and I both went and took him. And, for them, it's just like, okay, thanks, bye. Whereas you want to, like, get all feely about it. And so, I did find sort of like waves of tears coming over me as I was on the plane coming back home. But the main thing is, like, now I'm just looking at my husband going, oh, hello.
What do we do now?
Yeah, what do we do now? Because, like, there's nobody else to look at. Like, normally there's other people you can talk to, and now it's just like, oh my gosh, am I just going to stare at you now for the rest of my life?
I can't imagine the empty nest syndrome that parents go through, because this summer I spent time with a baby, and it was my friend's baby, and it was in the house for 3 days. And then they left, and my girlfriend and I were like, whoa, what do we do now?
Right.
Everything was centered around this baby. Even if we were talking about something else, the baby was doing something over here. And now all of a sudden this baby, it's a real silence that happens, like this spiritual silence that's just there.
Yes, and before I had children.
3 days.
3 days, yeah. Imagine, this is 25 years now of having kids around all the time. And before I had kids, because I said to Dave, what did we do before our kids took up all our time? But I didn't even have a career then. I was still auditioning for things. And I would get a sitcom and then it would be canceled. I was still summarizing depositions. And also, we didn't have the social media that we have now. So if you want to go to a movie, you went out to see the movie. And now we have like basically what's a small movie theater in our house, you know, because your TV screens are like this. And so you don't go, I said to my husband, okay, because we watch so much television, because there's so much good stuff on. I said, we can't do this. We cannot just come home every night and sit in front of the TV for 3 hours. Can't be our life.
Time to take some salsa dancing lessons.
I know. I don't want to be the cliche of, I'm going to learn ballroom dancing. I'm going to speak Spanish. You know, I don't know. We'll see. I think I actually what I would like to do, and I think I'm going to do, is take some screenwriting classes, because people are saying, oh, why haven't you ever directed? I have zero interest in directing. That's not my thing.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
And it depends on what can you imagine dealing with actors? Terrible. Although Charlie directed one of our episodes last season. He's really good. He's a really good director. But no, so I'm thinking of, because I have to read a lot of scripts and we produce stuff, and I want to learn to be a better script reader and a better note giver, like talking to writers in the language they understand. Because as an actor, I appreciate when we have a director who used to be an actor or who had taken acting classes, they know how to tell you what they want in your language as an actor. So I want to be able to do that with a writer, to tell them in their language what I feel the script needs.
Is the language for talking to an actor, for the most part, sort of giving objective things for an actor to do that articulate the emotions you're looking for, rather than telling them the emotion?
Well, like I had one director who will remain unnamed for a movie who said, okay, actors, tense up for acting. That was the direction you got. Tense up.
It's really funny.
Right.
I mean, I hope that was part of his sense of humor, because it's a very funny thing.
I don't know. He's a really good director too, but that was so you kind of had to know what you wanted to accomplish in the scene yourself, and I guess you would be told if you weren't doing it. Another director, who's also a really accomplished director, I said to him, "How was that?" And he goes, "You know it was good. Why are you asking me? Do you just need me to tell you?" And I was like, yes.
Yes, I'm an actor.
I'm an actor. I'm needy. Sometimes, you know, if you just use a word, like even if it's just, you know, my note is always less angry, please. I guess there's some way I deliver stuff that always makes me a little too angry. But yes, if somebody, sometimes a director will give you a line reading of a word, or the writer will, and I often have to say, what is it underneath it that you're going for? Do you want her to be kinder? Do you want her to be, being more disciplined? Instead of giving me the line, the way you want me to say the word, it's just give me the underneath thing, and then the word will come out the way it's supposed to.
Well, writers have a similar thing that actors have, but it's almost different in a lot of ways, where actors have this process of getting to a place and they need to be spoken to the correct way. Writers also have that as well, where you throw ideas at writers and their brain is going, okay, but how do I write?
Yeah, but how do I get that? And especially dialogue is really hard to write so that the actors aren't just speaking the plot, to where the actor is revealing himself while moving the story forward.
Just what 22-minute television shows, that's the hardest part about it.
I am in such admiration. I'll tell you, it is all about the writing. It doesn't matter who the actors are or the director. It is really about the script. And when I first read the pilot of Raymond, and when I first read the pilot of The Middle, right away, it like sticks to you, because it's really well done, and it's grounded in a reality, and the characters are not just stock character number one for comedy, and here's the comedic wife, and here's the goofy comedic kids. They're all based on real people, and so the Raymond was that, and The Middle was that, and it leapt off the page when I read it.
Now, after having done or going into the 9th season, do you participate with the writers at all? Do you pitch ideas for Frankie? Have you ever tried to do that?
Yeah, well, I have. There's certain things that happened in my life with my family that I have pitched. For instance, I had the great idea of having a foreign exchange student come and stay with us. The school was offering or asking the parents to house these Japanese students that were coming. And I remember from my childhood when our neighbors across the street, 3 Italian guys came and stayed at their house for like 2 weeks. And that was like a huge thing for us as kids in the neighborhood in Ohio to have these Italians. So I thought, hey, how nice for my boy to have a real Japanese student come and stay. And we got the quietest, shyest guy who stood in a corner and just stared at us, never smiled. He had a translator, so he rarely spoke. He just would translate and hold it up and show us what he was trying to say. And I just, and you know, at that time we lived in this really big house, and we would go to one of these American restaurants and all the food would come out. It would be just massive portions. I remember he ordered a cherry Coke that was like the size of this box with 1,000 cherries floating in the top. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're like the ugly Americans. It's all kind of huge, and it's just because it's America.
So interesting when that happens, when you get to sort of see the perspective,
Yes,
and you're like,
I'm
oh yeah, it
seeing
is
through
kind
his
of
eyes-
ugly.
Seeing it through his eyes and just going, oh my God, we're so crass. Yeah. And so I said, what if he was with somebody like the Heck family, where it's all like everything's dirty, everything's chaotic, nothing's ever done? I said, that would be really funny. And I said to Eileen, wouldn't it be kind of funny if they had a foreign exchange? So they did it. And there is a great actor, Matthew Moy, who played this exchange student. And of course, we do it because the Donahues are doing it. We're competitive with them. And the Donahues get that student from Spain who's all about loving life, you know, and he's making dinners for them, and we get the Japanese student who's just sitting there staring at us in a corner. So that was an example of one of the ideas I had for the writers. So I throw ideas in there once in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not like a committed to those. You're like, hey, this happened to me. It'd be funny if we tried it if you want.
Yes, that's how it is, yeah.
Let's get some questions from the audience. This guy has a microphone right here.
Hi.
Hi.
I just have to say that when I first heard about the show being co-captained, I guess, by you and Neil Flynn, I thought it was just a genius pairing, and I'm really excited to see it 9 years later.
Thank you.
Neil Flynn is he's an improv legend at
Yes.
this point. And I know, like, on Scrubs, they stopped writing his scripts. They were just like janitor talks.
Right, that's exactly right.
I wanted to know if he had a similar effect on this show, if maybe he rubbed off on the cast, and if maybe you had, like, one memory of him trying to make you break, or you desperately trying not to break when he was just going?
Well, Neil is the person that makes us laugh our heads off the whole time. He's hilarious. He has wonderful stories. He's a great mimic. He's a great mime. He just does great imitations of people. And I've gone to see his stand-up because, he's done it in L.A. quite a bit, and his improv, not stand-up. So he was really great. Now, our show is very scripted, and we don't really veer off of that, so you don't get to see that so much. He knows when a line doesn't feel like it's the way his character would say or what his character would say, and in that case, they'll adjust it. But they kind of get, like Neil, when I saw him audition, I thought, there's nobody else. That's the guy, He's perfect for this. But he does great. He just makes us laugh off camera all the time. He's truly wonderful. We have this funny story. I didn't know him, and I had only watched the pilot of Scrubs. And in my mind, and I think at the pilot, he never spoke, or he just kept staring at Zach Braff. Right. And so I assumed that through the entire run of that show that he never spoke. You know how in what was the Tool Time? What was the Tim Allen thing?
Home Improvement.
On Home Improvement, you never saw that guy behind the fence?
Wilson.
Right. So I thought Neil's thing was he never spoke. So I said to him on the first day we worked together, how does it feel to have lines? And he looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, because you never spoke on Scrubs, right? And he's like, yeah, I had lines. I'm like, wait, you did? I said, but wait. I said, well, I only saw the pilot. You didn't speak in the pilot, did you? And he goes, yeah, I spoke in the pilot. I felt like such an idiot, but he took it in great stride.
Next question.
Hi,
Hi.
Patricia. Since you've been part of these long-running series and become close with the TV cast, would you want to go through that again, or would you want to be part of something long-running, or do you prefer now something maybe shorter?
It's a good question. I think I love some of the limited series that are happening now where you'll get just a few seasons, or like a True Detective will just do the one season and then you'll change the cast. So I think that would be interesting because we as actors do like to mix it up a bit. And now that all my children are out of the house, I can sort of take weird things that maybe don't shoot in LA or whatever, so I could go off and do a limited project. But there is something wonderful about being able to come home every night to the same place and have a routine. And I definitely am looking for the next job to do. I'm trying to figure out, should I kind of break the mold and do something dramatic? But I have to tell you, we just had a line in one of our episodes that was kind of serious for a moment. There's a serious situation. I remember coming out and saying these lines. And then when we cut, I looked at my director. I said, I don't think I could ever do a drama. It's like too serious. I just feel like cracking up all the time. So we'll see. I have a feeling, with everything going on in the world, maybe another comedy to get people's minds off of things and make them laugh is what I should be doing. So we'll see. Thank you.
One more question.
Hi. So I was wondering, since the show is about to end, like, have you and the cast talked about like what you guys want to take, from the set, like any props or anything?
Right. I will not be taking that wig that Frankie Heck wears. As much as that was sort of my idea with my hairdresser, because I kind of like the way it really defines Frankie. Also, it saves me about 30 to 40 minutes in the morning coming in and blowing my hair out. And when you have to be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning, that's much better than being there at 5:20. So
lobby for the wig? Were you like, I think she wears a wig, guys, right? She wears a wig, right?
Yes, exactly.
Back me up here.
But also, just like what it does to your hair to have it blown out every day, just fries your head. So I won't be taking the wig. The other thing is the Heck's house is so crappy that there's like nothing you would really want. But what's really cool is Charlie's a photographer also, and he's taken tons of really cool pictures and given us picture books of everybody on the set and different when we weren't aware. So they're kind of cool, improv kind of pictures. So I think that'll probably be enough for me. Maybe I'll find something, but I can't imagine.
Patricia, congratulations on 9 seasons of The Middle.
Thank
we look
you.
forward to your next project, whatever it may be. The season premiere is Tuesday, October 11th, next week, right? 22 episodes this year, as per usual.
Yes. It's next week? Is that right?
I believe October 11th is next week. Yeah. Guys, give it a round of applause for Patricia Heaton. Let's hear it.